Hi, I'm Laurie Jones, and you are watching Musicians on the Record. Hit it!
This is huge, Musicians on the Record. Bring it on.
You know, you talked about some of those ups and downs with music, and one of the things that I try to do when talking with musicians is to make some of that global so that they also get something out of that of, geez, how do they deal with some of those ups and downs, stress or anxiety of playing live or whatever. How have you dealt with some of those, probably more of the down moments? What's helped you?
Well, it's tough because it's been 2 decades, so it's been 20 years since I put out my first record. And you have to know who you are. And you have to, I mean, here we are, we're going to get all touchy-feely about it, but it's the truth in the end is that you have to be okay with your craft and who you are. Because a lot of what you do, it's going to be defined. If you're going to put your music out there, or you're going to put out a record, and it's a business.
Right.
It's a business. Yeah. So I try to keep a business cap on sometimes, and I do run my business, which is music. Laurie Jones Music Company. But it's so easy to get discouraged when you're pigeonholed maybe into a genre, or that maybe people just aren't hearing it the way you hear it, or you get a lot of doors slammed in your face. And so I think that lots of times you have to go back to play. I would think this way. It's called play. And when it's not fun, then I'm not playing anymore. And that's why I took a break, because I wasn't playing. I was just like, I would show up, and my representative would show up, and that's me. Yeah. But I didn't show up because you can lose purpose in it, and so it's so important to, just stay grounded if you can. And I know it's hard. It's really hard to do that, but because I've had my ups and my downs, and I think it takes maturity. But when you hear these old cliches about you have to pay your dues, it's so it's real. Yeah. It's real. And I would get so frustrated. And so what my advice to other people is, try not to get frustrated. Try to go back to your craft. If you are getting frustrated and melancholy, like we called it before, turn that in and see what can come out of it. I recorded my first CD in Nashville, and it was like growing up. I was so green. I didn't know the music business, and oh my goodness, I look back now, and it's no one's fault. It's no one's fault. It's just a result of being green and just thinking something miraculous is going to happen, and it didn't. But I took that whole experience and I wrote a whole record.
Wow.
So that's what you do.
Yeah. So you turn that lead into gold, basically.
Alchemy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's alchemy. I'm really good with that thought of actually being able to shine something up.
Sure.
But I think that when you're an artist, it will always just eat at you to want to do what you do. But sticking to your craft, it pays off. And like you were saying before, what are those moments? If you could take those moments and you could look at them all, every success that you have, and if you could even look at just the craft of writing a song, and that's a gift.
Sure.
And so
not everybody can do that.
Not
right?
everyone can do it. So
bet.
hang in there, and surround yourself with people that understand that, and that are not asking you when your video is going to be on MTV.
Right.
Or when you're going to go on The Voice.
Sure, right. Right. Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, right. You get that question a lot.
Yeah, when are you going to go on The Voice?
Yeah, I'll skip that one. I won't ask
As a
you.
judge? Well,
right, as a
well,
judge.
sure, I'll take a judge
Yeah,
spot.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So taking a break, it sounds like that actually helped you because it became more work at some point and just needing to get back to that sense of play.
Yeah, yes and no. So I'll say this, that I'm an artist. I'm extreme sometimes, okay? So I don't do things a little bit, I just do it a lot. So I mean, I actually just disappeared for a while. And I played a show, and then I decided that I was done for a while. And when I was done, I was done. And I just really went underground for a long time. Yeah. And what can happen is you can forget.
Sure.
I mean, whether it doesn't have to be songwriting, doesn't have to be music, it can be anything. Right. Anything that you were good at and that made you happy and that you loved, and then you stopped doing it. Like, it's not going to work out.
Right.
It's not going to work out because one day it's going to, it's going to overflow, and your little songwriting little demons inside are going to come boiling out. Yeah. But it's so easy to. So what I'll say is, all those disappointments, sometimes you think that it's music that's doing that.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Okay.
It's like, I'm up and I'm down with the music business, so it's the music. So if you remove the music, then all that will go away. Right. That's not the case. Yeah,
sure.
No.
Right. The music can actually be the healing part of it.
The music is the healing part.
Right.
Music is the life in the breath, and music will always find you. Yeah. And it's a really music has chased me my whole life, and even when I left music, it would find me. Yeah. So I would, go over here. I moved to DC, and I start a band, and we're playing at festivals, and then I come back to Maine, and then it's time, So if you're supposed to be playing music, it will always find you.
Well, it sounds like it's in your blood, right? So
I don't even know how not to, and that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing.
It's a great thing, absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing we try to cover on this show is the business of music, because music is a business as well. Yeah. And can you tell us about, from when you first started to now, what are some of those major changes that you've seen in the music business, and some of the lessons that you've learned that you might be able to share with others?
Well, first, I think this is probably one of the most exciting times to be a musician. So particularly for musicians who are just wanting to release their first CD, or that you don't have to put out a CD anymore.
Right.
You can do a CD or do a compilation of music digital.
Right.
So the times have changed.
Yes.
Back 20 years ago, we had discs and jewel cases, and we don't even have those anymore. Right. So it's evolved. What I would say is, number one, it's a business, and you have a product that you need to sell. And the product is yourself, your craft, the songs, but it's also the music. Right. So when you think about that, it wouldn't be really any different than me trying to sell this guitar pick. So you need a business plan.
Right.
Like, what are we going to do with this thing? And so work your way back. So I would recommend to other musicians that, you get a little savvy on business and sales and how to market things, because it's fun. It can be really fun, and particularly now with the internet and all the social media, it's fun to get results. It's you can do so much more with so little and on such a small budget.
Really true.
So you can go big, you could go small. It doesn't make any difference. But you can be more effective now than you could back then.
It's amazing to hear.
It is. Yeah. It's the best time ever. Wow. So people are making records in their kitchens.
Right.
It's changed so much. So I would say now, advice for anybody wanting to put music out now, like, what are you waiting for?
Okay.
It's a better time. Yeah. We don't need a record label. We don't need the financing behind a record label anymore. It's a do-it-yourself industry.
Sure.
And I, just from my perspective, I think that a lot of people appreciate that. I know I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm probably someone who tends to gear more toward the underpromoted type artist than the over-promoted artist.
Yeah.
So,
and there's some power in that process of being able to take it back and claim it and own it, do it yourself kind of thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of good workshops you can go to. There are great books that you can buy about the music business. And I mean, it's legitimate information really to guide you through the process. But, you get a good group of good fan base and they'll help you as well.
Right.
So a website, some social media presence, a good song, and there's no telling where it could go these days, right?
Yes, and certainly starting with the good song, right? That's got to be
you have to be able to.
right?
Yeah, you have to be able to play.
Yes, yeah.
Just tell me.
It's got to be part of it, right?
And sometimes I even wonder that, like you watch YouTube and you watch, social media, and there's a lot of like really popular cats and other things that are probably more popular than my YouTube. Right.
Yeah, and everybody's different. We won't disparage anything.
Right.
Any sort of learning lessons for folks sort of just starting out that you might say, don't do that or avoid that?
If it's too good to be true, it is. Okay. There's always risks in everything. So if you're going to sign something, you want to read closely, understand what you're signing. I always go back to that thought because, the whole Nashville experience for me, I spent a lot of money and I recorded a CD and, I didn't necessarily get what I thought was going to happen, and I learned from that. But I also admit I was green and I should have known, and so, if you're going to sign a record deal, get a lawyer to look at it. And if it's too good to be true, it probably is, right? And I always feel this way. We all have an internal alarm clock, our own intuition.
Yeah, right.
And when your intuition is telling you maybe this isn't so great, it probably isn't. Yeah. And so, again, surround yourself with good people who, believe in what you're doing. And, honesty is always a good thing. But most importantly, people you can trust. Sure. Because it's important. Yeah. Your work's important, and your product's, ultimately it is your product, and so it's important. And I think that's probably why I've been happy, the past 5 CD releases have been my own. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm happy with that.
So you put that on yourself, put that out yourself.
Yeah, it's all me. Yeah,
incredible.
it's a do-it-yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm interested more in the publishing side of things. But I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm good with that. So I mean, you can do it. You can do your own thing, and I like it. And so find a good mentor, someone who's in the business that you like, and you like the level that they're at, an accessible level. Yeah. And learn. That's the best thing to do. Learn.
That's great.
Highs and lows.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Take the highs and the lows.
And having good people around you, like you said, right? Mm-hmm. And ultimately, there's a lot to be said about it is about the relationships, right? And connecting with folks.
Yeah, it is. I don't know why this just popped in my mind, but as musicians, we do get categorized into different genres, which can make it difficult sometimes. And I will say this, that what I would tell other musicians, don't get discouraged by that. I used to get really discouraged about being from Maine and maybe not being taken seriously enough because I was from Maine. Yeah. And it used to bother me when I would hear local artists because, if I was a woman living in New York City writing my songs and somebody would get, if a radio station played my song, would they say local New York City woman?
Right.
And so because I lived here, sometimes I felt like local, it changed the legitimacy of what I was trying to do. Sure. You know, now when I look back, I embrace the fact that I'm from Maine. I love it. I wouldn't live anywhere else. I love living here. But I think we need to be more mindful about that.
Sure.
I mean, you know, when you're in Detroit, do you hear a local musician, Alice Cooper? I don't think so.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You hear Alice Cooper.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So let's ask you then, so that nobody else puts a label on it. Musically, tell us how you would describe your music.
That's so hard. See, and so I'll complain about it, but it's a difficult thing.
Yeah.
I will tell you the genres that I agree with.
Okay.
So I agree that my music is very Americana folk rock. And that's where I think I stand. And so we did talk about the country influences.
Yes.
I have a lot of gospel influence as well. So I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely take that. I grew up on rock and roll, country, gospel. I mean, it is what it is.
Right. Yeah, so I was curious about that too. Musically, who are some of your influences, whether it's on guitar or singing or any other instrument?
I love Tom Petty. I love the Rolling Stones. I love Lucinda Williams, the Pretenders, on and on. I have to admit, I'm all over the place.
Yeah, great.
And I'm the type of listener that will obsess rather than have a mix of music. I may just say, okay, I'm going to listen to the Beatles, and I will listen to the Beatles long time.
Sure.
And the same, like Bob Dylan, for example. I might just listen to a collection of Bob Dylan. So I go through stages. Yeah. But, you know, I like that. I like that I go through musical seasons, and then I will sometimes be influenced more by those. Yeah. This last CD, heavily influenced by Tom Petty, Lucinda Williams. I would say even the Dixie Chicks, because I think the Dixie Chicks rock.
Yes.
So that's when I started to like really embrace the more, you know, I call it sort of gritty rock sound, like a gritty country, opposed to traditional. Right. So, you know, it just depends.
Sure.
It depends on the day what I'm listening to.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And the mood, right? It's. I find music to be such a mood enhancer, whatever mood you're in. Right?
It really is, and you know, it really is. I mean, I could obsess on Tori Amos for a month. Right. So what does that say? It say like, okay, she's going through something, right? She's listening to Tori Amos again. Or I just, you know, I might just want to listen to something more mellow. That's the best thing about music. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it flows. It's good stuff.
It really is. Yeah.
That's what's so cool, really, about songwriting. They all have a story. This song is actually about, it's about my family, but it's about my grandmother that we just talked about.
Wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, and it's about channeling her. Yeah, like we should all just be a little bit more like that. But it's really, I don't know, it's been a favorite to the women, so let's just give it a shot. So nice, yeah. If I could lay down my swords and my addictions and live my life. Cause she found a way to play the game. I come from that line of angry women. We can't get it right. We can't get it right. Let's get it right. I am waiting now. Oceans in my hand. I'm taking time. I'm taking my last stand. from the family tree because I could and I did. And she would ask me if I would sing. I always would, always would. 'Cause she found a way, she found a way to play the game, boys, boys. And I come from that line of able women, and we will